Hi everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at the blend shape system in Maya. The blend shape system is essentially a deformer, a deformation system, and is commonly used for animating, and in particular it's used, it can be used for doing facial animation or lip sync, which allows you to make your 3D characters talk to a specific recorded dialogue. So we're going to take a look at the basic settings for this and see how the system sort of works at a very basic level using this cube. And then what I'll do is I'll show you sort of just a basic sort of more real-world application using a little character head. So let's take a look. We've got this polygon cube, and you can see it's got 3 divisions on the X, Y, and Z axes, just there. And what I'm going to do is just come up to Display, Polygons, Component IDs, and select Vertices. And you can see here basically each of the vertices in the object, each of the little points, has a number on it. These are the component IDs, or the vertex ID numbers. So when you create an object in Maya, it will number each of the vertices in that object in a specific order. Okay, and the software controls that order essentially. Now, when we create an object, if we duplicate it by going up to Edit, Duplicate, the duplicated object has, I'll just do another one, the duplicated object has the exact same ID system as the original object. So you can see here we've got vertex 0, number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. And these two have the exact same numbered system. So vertex 0 on this cube correlates to the exact same vertex over on this cube, vertex 0 down here and also over here. So the blend shape system uses this ID number system to work out how it will morph the shape of this object into the shape of whatever the duplicated objects have taken. So essentially what we're going to do is reshape the 2 duplicates, and then we can use the blend shape system on this cube to make this cube change into the same shapes as these 2 cubes. So generally speaking, what we do is, as far as referring to these objects within the blend shape system, this original object generally is referred to as the base object, and any other duplicated objects, which are these 2 cubes, are generally referred to as the target objects, or the blend targets. Now this system does exist in other software packages under various names. So for example, in Lightwave, this system is referred to as the morph system, and the target objects are generally referred to as morph targets. So there are equivalent systems. You can do this kind of thing in most of the main 3D software packages, if not all of them. Okay, so what we need to do first of all is reshape these 2 targets. So the first thing I'm going to do is disable the vertex ID display again. So back up to Display, Polygons, Component IDs, Vertices. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm now going to press 3 to smooth those cubes out. And that's really just for aesthetic value on here. Basically, when you press 3 and you start rechanging or reshaping the object, it kind of gives you a more rubbery sort of looking value. The polygons will stretch rather than just becoming spiky. And if we leave the vertex ID on, when we press 3, basically the entire object gets covered with numbers and you can't really see the object. So I'm going to grab edge mode here, and I'm just going to change a couple of these edges. I'm just going to move an edge around. So I'm just using the move tool here. So it's important, in order to keep those numbers the same, you can't really modify the object as far as doing extrusions and insert edge loops and things like that. You can't increase or decrease the number of vertices, because that sometimes will give you unexpected results on your morphing or your blending shapes. So you need to try and keep the same number of vertices on these objects as exist on this object. So I'm just going to shift that out like that, and I'm going to do the same thing over here, except I'm going to do the other side, something like that. Okay, so we've sort of got a left and a right. Okay, so the next thing generally that I do, and this is sort of more for scene organization, I actually rename my targets. Okay, so these, don't forget, these are the two targets. And to do that, all you do is just come up to the channel box and you just rename them up here. So this one here, that's got the little kind of spiky bit on the left, so I'm just going to call that LFT for left. And this one here, it's on the right, so I'm just going to call that RGT. And those are the abbreviations I generally use when I'm dealing with left side objects and right side objects. So just LFT or RGT is a nice, easy abbreviation. Okay, so we have our two targets, and we also have our base object. So the process for adding the blend shape node onto the base object, so it will read the two targets, is first of all what we do is select our targets. So I'm going to select the two targets by holding shift and clicking them, and then I'm going to select the base object last, like this. So the base object should be green. We then need to come up and make sure that our menu set is set to animation, just here, and that gives us access to the Create Deformers menu. So we go into Create Deformers, and the first option is Blend Shape. What we do is open up the options for that. So we've got this panel. We have two tabs, Basic and Advanced. Generally speaking, what I do is set the deformation order to parallel, and that more or less allows us to apply multiple blend shapes or multiple morphs on this object at the same time without any issues. With some of the other options, what it will do is actually only allow you to apply a single blend shape or a single morph at one time. So if you've got two blend shapes or two targets as we have here, you can activate one, but when you activate the other, either nothing happens or it'll activate, but it'll deactivate the first one. So with it set to parallel, it'll allow you to basically switch on and off as many as you like. So you can actually have multiple morphs active, and you can create even more shapes that way. But we'll take a look at that in a second. The main tab, back over on Basic, we've got Blend Shape Node. We can type in a name for our node here. You can have multiple nodes, multiple different blend shape nodes on one object, so usually it's a good idea to get in the habit of naming them. Now for this, it's just a demo, so I'm just going to call this demo blend, something like that. Okay, but you know, like if we were dealing with a character, for example, and you know, we might have, for example, like blend shapes for the face, so we could do like lip sync animation on the mouth and things like that. But we might also have blend shapes on other parts of the body. You know, like we might have blend shapes on the arms, which allow the arms to bulge. You know, if the character's flexing his muscles or something like that. So you can have lots of different blend shapes applied to an object. So get in the habit of naming things. The origin, we've got local or world. This one's really important. Basically, if you set it to local, when you apply the blend shapes, the base object will remain wherever it is in the scene, and the blend shapes will actually form over the object where it is. If you set it to world, the base object will change shape to whatever the target is that you're activating, but this will actually move to the position of that target. So if I was going to activate this shape on the base object, the base object would actually move across and form this shape over here. So that can come in handy in some instances where, you know, you might want one object to form the shape of something else in the scene, for example. You know, like if you had a character that was going to disguise itself as like a lamppost, and you wanted it to kind of change shape and form that lamppost sort of outline, you could actually make that object or that character kind of move across in that fashion. That's obviously quite an advanced thing, but that's sort of the idea behind it. It's you know, that's sort of the gist. So generally speaking, what we do is leave this on local, more or less. And what we want to do is just hit check topology, and what this is going to do is read the numbers in the shapes, those numbers we were looking at before on the vertices, and it's going to match each of the numbers up between the base object and the blend targets. So what we do is we hit create, just like that. And you can see over here, this is the base object's channels. I'm just going to select the base object by itself. You can see over here we've got inputs and we've got demo blend, and that's what I typed in as the name for our blend node. So that's the actual node itself. And if I click on that, you can see we've got a right and a left channel. And there's the envelope, which allows us to just set it to 0 or 1 to turn it on and off or disable it. Okay, so we've got this right number and we've got this left number, and this is correlating to how much of the blend shape for the left and the right target is actually active. Now technically you can change the numbers here, but it's a bit kind of messy. It's a bit fiddly. So there's actually a better way of accessing your blend shape controls. What we do is we come up to Window, Animation Editors, Blend Shape, and that pops up this panel. And you can see it gives us this nice little interface. Okay, and depending on how many targets you've got, you might have a whole bank. You know, you might have dozens of these sliders. So basically the way that this works is each one is labeled. So this is my right control, and if I slide this up, you can see my object changes shape. And it's matching the right blend shape, or the blend target over here. Now I can also do the left one. So if I do that, you can see that's blending the shape of this one into this one. So I'm getting both of these shapes in one object over here. And I can kind of adjust them to different values. And the great thing with this is, the way that we do our animation is that we can use the key buttons and actually keyframe these. So for example, if I come down here to frame, let's say I go to frame 5, and I key my right value at 0, and then I come up to frame 15, and I move this up, and I key that. I've got auto key switched on down here, so it's actually done it automatically, but you can always just hit key. If I scrub between the two, you can see there that it's actually animating now. And I can do that multiple times, so I can do it with multiple blend shapes. So for example, I can come across to 9, and I can keyframe left there, and then come across maybe to 22, and increase that, and key that. So now what I'm getting is I get the right side will start growing, like that, and then the left side will start growing, like that. So that's how we sort of animate our blend shapes. And that's essentially how you would animate blend shapes on a head, like a character's face or something like that. So that's how the system works. Now there is a slight, there is sort of like an additional thing that we can do. We can actually add extra objects. So let's say I've got like this shape here, like this position here. If I take this, I'm just going to select the object and go Edit, Duplicate, and then I'm going to grab the Move tool and I'm going to bring this across. So what it's done, it's basically duplicated this object at this morph stage, like this. So this is sort of partway through its morph. You can see there that this is still animating over here. It's still got that animation, but this one doesn't. this is sort of frozen in time at the point that I duplicated it. Okay, so what I can do is with this object selected, I can hit Shift. Now what I might do here is rename this one, and what I might do maybe is call this LFT RGT, so it's actually both of them at the same time. Okay, so I'll select this object, I'll shift select this one, the base again, and then what I'll do is come up to Edit Deformers, Blend Shape, Add Options, just here, pop that open. And what we do is go Specify Node, tick that, and you can see here that it's selecting the Demo Blend node that I created, and that's on the base object just here. And the reason it's highlighting that automatically is that that's the only blend node that I have. Okay, you can see here existing nodes. So if I had multiple nodes on the object, what I could do is select whichever node I wanted. You can see check topology once again is down here. Really that's all I need to do is just tick that and then hit apply and close. And you can see here it adds a new slider. Now what this new slider does is it will make this object blend to this one. So if I dial that up, you can see that it actually is forming this shape now. And the great thing is, because it's a blend shape, I can actually add it to the other two nodes. And you can see what it's doing is basically it's exaggerating even further out, because what it's doing is essentially adding this amount of distance here onto this amount of distance here. And likewise with this, the amount that I've moved this edge out is being added to the amount that this was moved out. So it's doubling the distance and kind of exaggerating it. So you can add extra blend shapes in from shapes that you've created on your base object. So that's great for facial animation. You can do a few blend targets and then actually use the blend shape system to create more specific facial expressions, duplicate that base object again with that expression, and then add that new expression as a new blend shape. So you can exponentially increase the number of targets that you have. So let's take a look at sort of a more real-world application of that. I'm just going to open a scene up. Won't save that. So what we have here is essentially a base object and a whole ton of targets, which you can all see here. Okay, all these different. Now each of these targets is a slightly different shape. Some are more extreme changes than others, but they are predominantly all basically they're all based off the original base object, but they're all slightly different. And what I'm doing here is really just deleting the history, because there was a few scrappy bits of history on them. So you can see here essentially what I've got is this object is a right wink. So basically all I've done is duplicated this object and then just moved the vertices in the eyelid, the right eyelid down to close the eye. This one is the same thing but the left eye. This one here has the eyebrows pushed up. This one has them pushed down. I can't remember what that one is. Oh, this one here's got the mouth squashed a bit to make a shape for when the character sort of makes sort of the M sound when he's speaking. So most of these are all like basically mouth shapes called visemes, which you use for making characters talk. So we've got an eyebrow up and down, smile, a frown, and so on. Okay, so there's these two last ones look the same. These are actually ear wiggles. So this one here has the ears slightly down and this one has them slightly up. So you can make his, with these, basically you can have his ears moving slightly when he talks, just to add a little bit more life. So basically what we can do here is if we select each of these, we can apply them as a blend shape onto the base. So what we do is we select them all like this and then select the base. Now you'll notice that he's got eyes over here, but there are no eyes on these objects. The reason for that is that the eyes are separate. Okay, so when we're dealing with a blend shape, if you're dealing with like a head anything that's not physically kind of combined with the object or connected to the object, you don't have in your targets. Okay, the eyes are just little spheres, and they're added in sort of separately and controlled separately. So that's why they're not appearing on the blend shapes. Sorry, on the targets. So let's add those blend shapes in. So I'm going to go blend shape. We'll add this in, and I'll just call this head control CTRL. Now pretty much I can leave all the settings as they are, and then what I'll do is just select the head, and we'll go up to Window, Animation Editors, Blend Shape, and you can see there I've got all of my blend shapes in. So now if let's bring this across, now if I dial these up and down, so I can make his eyes close, where's the smile? I can make him smile. So I can make him smile and close his eyes by doing that. So I can add or activate multiple blend shapes at the same time. I can make him do this by pushing the brows up. Where's the angry brows down? There it is. So I can make him look a bit dodgy like that. I've got the ear control, a little bit of ear wiggle there. So that's how it works. And basically, as we saw before, you can keyframe these to basically make him sort of move and talk over time using just keyframe animation. So those are the really sort of just the basic things with blend shapes, the basic setup, I should say. So with that said, you know, obviously have a bit of a play around with blend shapes, and I'll see you next time.